Hi, this is Evan GIIA, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
How important is it to you to like kick off your, headline tour at a venue like this?
I couldn't be more excited. We had only one other show besides tonight, so this is still new. It's still fresh, and LA is just, I don't know. It's always one of the biggest shows on tour. Yeah. All of the artists that I respect are coming. All the people I've written with are coming. My label's coming, so it's a big deal. Yeah.
Now, last night you had another big deal. You did your first ever like GIIA Move.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the inspiration behind that. Like, why was that so important for you, and like, how did that go?
Yeah, I was so happy. It went amazingly. I've always loved fitness and movement, and I've always been very passionate about that side of my life. So I was like, how can I meld the two?
Right.
And I thought, like, what if on tour, instead of a meet and greet, I have people come out and work out with me, meet me, take pictures, become friends with my fans, but also get a good sweat in the day before a show, which I'd be working out anyway, so I get to work out with my fans. It was awesome.
How cool was it for you to be? I mean, it seemed like you were also the instructor at the same time.
Yeah, I was. So I was instructing them, which is cool because they're kind of like expecting Evan GIIA, and now it's like you're cycling instructor Evan GIIA. They were a little, and I wrecked them. They were like, "Holy shit, that was very, very hard."
Well, I mean, cycling is not easy. So.
It's not, and I had a lot of fans come being like, "I have never cycled before, and I would only do this for you." So it was great.
That's amazing. Now, right now, let's talk about your latest single, Switch Off.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the creative process with this one. And you went back with Memba for this one.
Yes.
So, how different was it this time around to kind of collaborate together?
So Memba's they're my day ones. It's made up of my fiance, Sean, and Will, my best friend. We've been making music in Brooklyn for years, and this song was written a long time ago, but we put it into a lot of live sets and kept tweaking it, which is kind of how the song becomes like the best version, because you're like, oh, the fans feel like after the second verse they need this, and so we tweaked it like 7 times, and now it's like in its perfect form. And the past 2 shows, people have been like screaming it. It's so fun. That's awesome. So I love working with them, and I felt like after almost a year of working with other producers, it was nice to come home and make a song with them.
Right. And tell me about like being able to collaborate with your fiance. Like, how do you step away from just being comfortable together and being able to just like kind of challenge each other in the studio?
Yeah, it's a back and forth, but we've actually mastered it. I'm really proud of both of us because our household is talking Evan GIIA and Memba pretty much 24/7. But it doesn't bother either of us because we're so passionate. We're both at the same point in our career as well, which is very rare. A, we're doing the same thing, which never really happens. B, we're at the same stage. And I'm super grateful for that because it could get tough when someone's here and someone's here, right. And you have to work through that. But we're both on our headline tours right now. It's so incredible, and it's just a lot of talking, a lot of communicating.
Now, as this song, for example, you mentioned it was done a while ago, and the tours kind of helped you make it or finalize it in a sense. Like, so in saying so, like, what was it about this song that you still felt like it was such an important song that you had to release it, even though it was like such an old song?
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of songs stay in the docket for like years, and it's just like one thing that makes it click, and you're like, no, this one has to come out. Yeah. It was the live reaction. I played that for 2 years, and people had no idea what the song was. But by the second chorus, they're like, kiss that shit goodbye. And I was like, oh, all right. You basically already know this. It's unreleased, so this has to come out, because once it's out, like, the response has been awesome, so... Yeah.
And I feel like that song is like maybe one of the few explicit songs that you've worked on. So
so it's funny because I didn't really mean it to be like that, but if you do look at the lyrics, it's a lot of swears in there. Yeah.
Was that interesting for you to kind of write those kind of words into your lyrics? I know some artists like feel uncomfortable doing so, but did that happen to you?
It's funny because it felt like cathartic and natural in that setting. I didn't feel like I was like forcing any of that. And then doing it on stage is like really empowering. It feels awesome. And the whole point of the song is to kiss that shit goodbye. So you're not supposed to worry about it. You're just supposed to like, let it out. Right. So it works.
You've had so many like incredible collaborations as far as like songwriting sessions with various people. Like, talk to me about working with Katie and then also with Churches. I don't know if it was like specifically with both of them or with.
Yeah. So I was so lucky. I've been so lucky ever since signing. I've gotten into amazing rooms with people that I could have honestly never imagined.
Yeah.
Martin from Churches is one of my favorite writers.
Okay.
He's a really good friend of mine now too. I've been so lucky because it's not only getting in the room with these really cool people, it's becoming friends with them, which
Right.
I care about that more than anything, is making a connection. And these people are all so genuine and nice, and we've made some really awesome stuff that I can't wait to put out. So I'm so excited.
How do you guys challenge yourselves? Like knowing that, you know, Martin comes from a different kind of style of music.
Yeah.
Katie's worked with so many other people, like, and all the other artists that you've collaborated with, like, have worked with so many other artists as well. So, like, when you create your music, because I don't feel like you're in a bubble. I feel like you create whatever you feel like creating.
Oh, that's
so,
nice.
you know, when it comes to getting together, like, how are those sessions for you guys?
So it's cool because I always kind of start my sessions with I strive to write about relatable topics that isn't just love.
Mm-hmm.
Like there may be a day when I need to write a love ballad, something happens, and I like to write what I feel. It's authentic, but I like to stay away from the stuff that everyone writes about. Like, I'm just kind of sick of hearing that, and it's the same exact stuff. And every time I say that, everyone in the room's like, yes, oh my God, we don't have to write like a love song right now. This could be fun. So I like to I challenge them every time I get in the room, because they're kind of like, oh, that's different. So let's make something cool. So that's kind of my motto every time I meet new people in the studio.
Are there any specific, like, songwriters that you've been wanting to collaborate with, or
There
that
are
you've
so
admired?
many. A lot of artists, I just have like this super long list. It's so funny. Every time everyone asks me this, I'm like, what are they? There's so many of them, but I've gotten lucky because that list that I wrote it a long time ago. I sent it to my A&R at my label, and she got me all of them. So I was like very, very shocked. One of them was What So Not. He's a good friend of mine now.
Yeah.
It's just surreal because you kind of finally get into the room. He was my first session outside of working with Memba at my house. So I was so nervous. I was literally like, I'm a huge fan. Now I have to write with you. Now I have to like bare my soul and like sing and whatever. And he was just so nice and made it seem just like natural. So I'm glad I'm out of my comfort zone now. I'm able to get into rooms with bigger, more experienced people.
Right.
Yeah.
Since you don't write about love songs like everybody else does, like, what kind of songs do you feel get you to feel so vulnerable, like, in the writing session?
Yeah. Well, one of my songs that's not released yet is more of a ballad style thing. And if you come to my live shows, you'll hear it. It's called Focus. And that one feels like I'm really singing on the chorus. And I know that sounds weird because I'm singing the whole time, but it just feels so raw. And I've recently just started feeling like I'm tapping into lyrics that actually mean something to me. Like, I love my old songs so much, but you can see that my writing's growing because now I'm finally writing actually from my heart, like what I'm feeling in the moment and what I'm dealing with. It's so plainly right there in the song. So it feels vulnerable at times, but it feels those are the songs you love even more.
Right.
You listen back in the car after the session and you're like, oh my God. Like, this is good. So
With the older stuff, do you feel like it was an alter ego that was writing? Like, where were you coming or getting
back,
inspiration?
I'm like, was that me? Like, I'm critical, but my fans love those songs though, so it's like I still feel ownership to them because of my fans. They're out there bumping Westworld to this day, and Westworld feels like 80 billion years ago. But it still gets so many plays a day, and people still DM me every day being like, Westworld's my favorite song. So I love it because it can kind of defy time. Like, it doesn't matter when you wrote it. It's just a moment in time. So
Well, I feel like it's another thing. Like, I feel like it's so rare for artists to write music that pretty much doesn't age. I feel only certain artists can do that. So, I mean, that's kind of a huge compliment.
the goal, honestly, because it's so tough to stay relevant these days. There's 8 billion singles coming every day. So, you want stuff that people can feel like, whoa, this is just, I try to write music that's like a mood. So you put it on when you feel this way. And people always tell me Westworld's something you put on when you're not having a shit day or you're really down or you're in literally the best mood ever. It kind of works to just like elevate happiness, which I think then extends its lifetime because then you're like, oh, this is my happy song, So I'm going to continue to try and do that because it actually is, I mean, that's the most important part about being an artist is being timeless.
Right,
So
that's true.
yeah.
That's true. Now, talk to me about, your music videos because you also co-direct them. So, Insane. So, do you think about these videos while you're writing the lyrics, while you're in the studio creating the songs, while you're on tour? Like, when do these come up for you?
Yeah, it's funny because the visual for my stuff usually comes up like right away, and I get so excited because I'm like, oh, I hope we do a video for this because I can already see this song.
Right.
Westworld came from a conversation I had with my fiance, and then we kind of made that come to life in a field in Colorado, and that was when I first kind of fell in love with being behind the camera and watching it go down. It's fun because I get to take shifts. Like half the day I'm in front of the camera, which I love. I was obviously born to do this. I do not mind being in front of a camera. And then the other half I'm behind, kind of loving angles and creative ways to make things look unique. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that I can continue to have that control over the visuals of my work forever. Right. Hopefully.
What has been the biggest challenge for you in doing your music? Has it been like the touring because you have nonstop tour dates, or has it been like the creative process because you're collaborating with so many different people that it's kind of hard to pick and choose what your favorite songs are?
It's funny because touring is a grind. Like people think touring is like, oh my God, look at your life. My friends at home are like, you are living the life. And I am. I'm not going to say I'm not, but it is hard. Yeah. Like my body is tired and it doesn't matter. Just you got to get on every night. And so I respect touring and artists so much more now that I've been doing this. Right. But I would say that the actually harder part is trying to write and keep my creative process while touring. Like I'm a very regimented person where if I'm in tour mode, I'm in tour mode. That's my performance mode. It's an alter ego. Like Evan G on stage is different than Emmy, who's just sitting and writing her song from her heart. So it's tough for me. And sometimes I get calls being like, well, we don't have enough songs. This needs to be made and you're on tour. It doesn't matter. And that's the hardest part, to find time to like do those separate parts of my career at the same time.
But what happens when you're on tour and you're so busy on tour, but things are just flowing in your head as far as lyrics go?
Yeah, so I use the notes in my phone. I'm just constantly on planes, like jotting little ideas down. And luckily for me, my creative process, if I jot a sentence down, that always jogs my memory of like, oh, okay, that's the vibe that I was going for. And then I can pull that up in the session later and be like, okay, this is what I want the song to be about. Right. But I'm melody driven more than lyrics. So I hear things a lot more. And the more I'm listening to music, like new stuff, I get references and feel inspired. So yeah.
Your notes are more hums than there are lyrics?
Right? I have more voice notes than lyrics because I'm constantly, it's weird on the plane though, because you can't really, I don't know. I'm always, now with the coronavirus, I have my face mask on so no one can tell I'm doing anything.
You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it actually works really well.
So right now you're on the second day of your headline run, and then following this, you're going to jump on the road with Louis the Child. Yes. So, how do you stay motivated when you have such a rigorous schedule like that?
My regimen for like my body, mind, and voice is really intense, and I try not to stray from it. I'm super into just like taking care of myself, so I meditate a lot. It really helps. I use the app Calm. I love it. I try and eat really well. I'm overly hydrated, and the voice thing is the hardest part because I'm a chatty person, so you shouldn't be doing that. Right. My vocal coach is like, you should be talking the whole day. No talking. You get a whiteboard, write it down. I'm like, what? That feels like prison to me. So yeah, it's tough, but you have to stay on it because I've been on a million tours so far. Not a million. It feels like a million. I've only been 3. But they're all with DJs usually, which not to diminish that at all, but it always felt like, God damn, it's so nice that they can they start drinking, they can do whatever. I can even drink, so it affects my vocal cords. So it's like, it's a lot more work when you're up there moving your body and actually singing every night. It's like, it's a lot to ask. So
are you sure this is what you want to do?
I know. No, I'm not kidding. It goes through my head a lot. I'm like, there's moments where you're like 4 p.m. in a dark, gloomy green room and you're like, what am I doing? Right. But then you get on stage and you're like, oh, this is why I'm doing this.
It's like the whole Instagram versus reality type of thing.
I'm like, I wish that was more the side that people got to see, because my brothers and everyone are like, oh my God, why are you complaining? It's perfect. And I'm like, come for a week and a half. Yeah, you'll see.
No, I totally get that. So, what's next for you aside from these tours, music-wise? What else is next as far as releasing stuff?
Yeah, so it's funny because just recently I started getting a lot of these interviews, and I was like, they're always asking me this question, and I always said the headline tour is what's next, and now it's here, and it's just like, oh shit, I gotta have a new thing.
Right. Just make something up on the spot. Go.
Well, new music. We've already have a new single slotted. I can't tell you when, but it's very soon, and I'm so happy about that. And then from there, honestly, I'm excited to make new fans on the Lose a Child tour. Like, I think their music is the type of fans that they have will love my stuff. I just know it. So I think it's going to be a great pairing. And then this summer, I'm playing a few festivals, which will be great. Okay. And then from there, it's just I got to get back in the studio. Like I got to start making some hits for people. Right. So
well, if you are looking for new writers to collaborate with, I know Martin from Churches works with Sasha Sloan a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with Sasha, but I think you and Sasha would be like kind of incredible. Like, see what you guys can put together.
Totally, she's a badass. I'd love to work with her. He has a lot of great things to say about her as well, especially their sessions. He was like they had such a blast, and I love the song that Martin specifically wrote with her. I forget what it was called, but it's awesome. So. Yeah, I'm excited to see like who else I get to meet in this process in the next couple months when we're writing again.